Hello Bard haters, and welcome to another Fine We Hate Bards Let's Play. I'm Ben, and I made a slight error in trying to get this part kicked off, as you can tell. Shit! Right, so I was going to do the intro the way I normally do when I'm on the way to a place, but the second I walked out the door I got attacked by Roboscorpions, so that did not go as well as I would have liked. But anyway, as I was trying to say, this is more Fallout New Vegas Hardcore Permadeath. And today we're going to finish off the Old World Blues DLC, so we can move on to the next thing we got on the list of things to do. And before I can do that, I gotta kill these freaking Roboscorpions. I'm still blanking on like the best way to do it. It might almost be to do this. And I know this is stupid, but okay. So normally they say meleeing Roboscorpions is a terrible idea, but it seems to be working okay in this instance. Because I mean, let's be honest, none of my ranged weapons have been doing shit to them. And I've been wasting tons and tons of ammo just trying to keep them down, and it hasn't been working. So that ended up doing a little bit better than I thought it was going to. Anyway, now that first batch of Roboscorpions is dead and gone, let's go ahead and move on to the actual reason why the actual meat and potatoes of this part. Which is not this guy shooting things at me. Okay, more lobotomites. Dead lobotomite. Shotguns aren't bad in bats. Maybe I should just start doing that. Okay. We're going back to heavy now. Shit, is that a super sledge? Well, now it's not. Right, so while we got a minute of downtime to just sort of take a breath, to actually cover what we're doing, as I said, we're going to be cleaning it up this part and finishing things off. And to do that, we need to go all the way north to Dr. Mobius's little lair. And it's going to suck this part because I haven't actually been up here yet. So the things that are going to want me dead are all still very much alive. And it sort of brings me to the reason why this DLC is so rough. Because, yeah, it's still easier than other DLCs in a way. I mean, not as easy as Honest Hearts was, because Honest Hearts just, you know, you had room to maneuver, you could very easily get in sniping position, etc., etc., even with a weight limit. Still, I'd say easier than this. The reason that this is difficult is because, yes, it's small, but it has a shit ton of enemies packed in. So this is meant to be, at least my read on it, it's meant to be more of a runny-gunny, killy affair. And it's really hard to do that when the enemies can all take, or at least the Roboscorpion can all take shit tons of damage. Well, at least there's one of them down. And that other guy's going to go into caution temporarily until he... Where'd he go? Ah, there he is. I can actually see him. Dead. There we go. That's the first time I think stealth has actually worked out for me so far in this part. Okay, so there's bad guys down there, so I want to avoid them. And where's these bad guys at? I'm at least from up here. Oh, Roboscorpions. See, I can actually do this because I'm here. I have cover. And sneak attack criticals. See, why couldn't all the fights with the Roboscorpions be like this? I'm on a high place with stuff in front of me, and they're way the hell down there and can't get me or find me. It would have made the rest of this DLC fastly. Oh, fuck. So yeah, the worst part about that is I forgot to even bring any snacks with me to kind of, you know, chew on while I'm trying to get away from places. So my stats are going to be lowered for a little bit, and there's nothing I can do about it. In the meantime, I'm just going to try and kill off the rest of these Roboscorpions. That hit a wall, didn't it? Piss. He's not actually going to try and get up here after me, is he? Can he do that? There's no way. There's no way he can get up that rock formation. Oh, you're kidding me. And somehow we're still in caution despite the fact that there are no more Roboscorpions around. Okay, stealth did not work. We are moving to plan B. Get up the... Are you kidding me? Come on, it's just a fucking step. Cock. Okay. Those guys are dead. I feel like that's rather fitting of a capstone for the way I've been treating most of this DLC. Now, this is going to be the fun part. Because this bad guy, I'm not just going to be able to go in there, charging in, you know, chainsaw running, and murder the hell out of the thing that's in here. It's not going to work like that. We're going to have to be smart about this. Because this guy is quite nasty. As you can see. So, the trick is, you got to power up target drones and give him something else to shoot at while we run away from him. Once you've activated the backup drones, you have to go all the way here to the back of the room. And there's a thing right up in here, I believe. I can't remember where the thing is. Here we go. Emergency shutdown terminal. This is what we wanted to do. Okay, and there we go. So we're on the computer now. Initiate emergency shutdown. And with that, we have enough to level up yet again. As I said, I'm going to be putting more points into barter, just mostly for the hell of it. And the rest are going to go back into energy weapons. Now, as for my level 32 perk, this might take some doing, because I'm running out of perks that are inherently useful to me. Although, Adamantium Skeleton could be really, really useful to prevent my limbs from getting crippled. Because the fact that my head and my torso are currently immune to being crippled means that my limbs are the only things that can be crippled now. So I might just go with that. There's also Implant GRX, which I talked about a little bit last time, although I think I cut out me talking about it, which would give me temporary turbo, which could be really useful in certain situations. And this is the other reason I really like power armor, because if you look at all the damage I took, and look at my power armor, it's barely been dinged. The helmet's not looking great. Well, actually, this is looking pretty good. But still, yeah, like the power armor barely even got like scratched. It's just like, yeah, I'm good to go. Keep going, keep it on. And I am gonna use some of the, because I've been accumulating Radaway like crazy, so I might as well use at least one of them just to get me back down to regular radiation levels, like not super mega irradiated like I have been. Now, to clarify, yes, you can kill this thing. It's actually quite fun to do, and I enjoy doing it. But generally, what I do is I will have explosive weapons with me or something. I'm trying to think of like some like if you have really powerful energy weapons. Actually, the layer is not a bad weapon for that. I think, yeah, it's over here. The layer is actually a really, really good weapon for that. It's basically an energy weapon shotgun that does crap tons of damage to robots. So it's a really good weapon for that if you have like a missile launcher or a mini nuke launcher, which I generally have had at this point. It's really good for that, and there are actually missiles in here as well that I'm going to take, because I do have a missile launcher that I haven't actually used at all this game. But if you use like explosives and energy weapons, it actually goes down really, not really quickly, but fairly quickly. Like you can get it down reasonably within the constraints of what you have, and the power armor will do a lot more to protect you. But as I am doing the whole like hardcore Permadeath run, I wasn't really willing to risk that, and so I just wanted to find the turbo because I knew it was around. I'd forgotten where it was. It's in that room over there. You have to go across the room from where the Roboscorpion is, get through that room, get across this platform, get through that room, and then on the other side of this room there is a little thing over there that you can see, and there's actually a terminal that'll activate the turrets. So if you're really good and really quick, you can get like drones and turrets fighting this thing, and when you have that, it goes down even quicker. But I just went over and deactivated it, and now we can go and confront Mobius at long last. So this is a part of the DLC I actually quite like, because I find the RoboBrain scientists for the most part to be just kind of obnoxious. They're a bit overdone, and they get on my nerve more often than not. Like, it's supposed to be kind of charmingly funny, and it's just really tedious and stupid. But the one thing I do like about this is they talked about Dr. Mobius, about how he was one of the last 6 remaining scientists, and how he went insane and turned evil and tried to like stop them from doing their experiments because they were doing their experiments to benefit mankind, or so they would have you believe. But then you get here and you talk to Mobius, and Mobius isn't the evil, psychotic, like stereotypical bad guy, because those don't really happen so much. He's actually like an old decrepit, they're not RoboBrains. What are, I don't even know what they are. This old decrepit scientist in a robot who can barely even remember what his own name is. And you talk to him, and as we do, he will say, "Yeah, I'm kind of just hiding out here." And he explains to you how, like, the guys back at the think tank are actually the bad ones, because the experiments they're doing to benefit mankind, as we've seen already, basically involve lobotomizing people and devising reckless, just hybrid experiments with, like, Night Stalkers and various other things, and just trying to do all sorts of crazy stuff because they've all freaking lost it, in case you couldn't tell. And the reason he does it is, the reason he does what he does and acts like an evil, horrible monster, is to keep them from going out into the rest of the wasteland. And those 3 items that we found weren't actually to get us into the Forbidden Zone, into Dr. Mobius' lair. They were meant to escape Big Mountain altogether. And if the scientists do that, they'll go out into the greater wasteland and wreak havoc and, like, experiment on people and just do horrible, monstrous things to them. And Dr. Mobius has been threatening them and scaring them to keep them from doing that, which is quite brilliant when you think about it, and I really actually like it.
Perception is a problem.
Yeah, and Mobius is just, he's at the point he doesn't even want to fight. He has a giant Roboscorpion, but even the giant Roboscorpion he didn't send at us because he, oh. Yeah, he gave us free Mentats. Yeah, he takes lots and lots of Mentats. Dr. Mobius actually has our brain. He took it from the think tank when they were busy experimenting on us and, like, taking out our heart and our spine. So it's just been here this whole time, and we're actually going to go and get a chance to talk to him in a minute. And this is kind of goes into one of the other things as we look at this option here, because we pointed out his name is Mobius, which, if you know anything about science, a Mobius strip is like an infinite loop, which a lot of those other things are. Like Zero has that as well. Zero just kind of keeps going and going and going. You have 8, which is also an infinite kind of recursive loop. Then there's Dr. Boris, which is short for Ouroboros, which is that whole snake that, like, eats itself and goes infinitely as well. And then you have, I can't remember what Dalla and Klein had to do with that, because those are the other 2. But basically, the entirety of the reason behind that is that they're supposed to be just infinite loops to retrace, and it's, I can't remember exactly how they explain it. It's like weird sci-fi tech, but I don't know. I kind of like it. I think it's cool. So this is where we kind of pointed out. Klein, Mobius, O's a circle, 8's an infinity. They're all loops. And the idea was to keep their processors, their brains rather, what's left of their brains, from thinking externally and realizing that they could get around the radar fence. Yep, and this is the other reason. This is the other reason he kind of wanted our brain. Because he's like, yeah, you have a very like special thing in your brain that allows that would have allowed them to figure out that there's a world on the outside. And that was, as a throwback, the bullet that we took when Benny shot us in the brain. It's still there. And we can either do medicine or guns. I'm going to do guns because even though this is more of an intelligent way of looking at it, but this will get us a bit more experience, I think. Oh yes, and they have a little reference here. Brains, a heart, and a spine. I think there was a story about a band of murderous thugs stealing those things once. But yeah, he's the one who actually tells us what those 3 bits of technology were designed to do. And that is, specifically, they were allowed to, well, one, allow guys like me to have those things removed and continue going, and or augmenting what I did have, I think. And then the other reason was, of course, to get past the radar fence. So at this point, we can either choose to go ahead and kill Dr. Mobius or just leave. And I almost always choose to leave at this point, because again, his mind, while his mind is by far the most gone of the rest of the people around here, he seems to be relatively benign. He doesn't want to leave. He doesn't want to go and experiment in the outside world. He just wants to stay here and kind of take care of the Big Mountain as it is, which is a noble goal, really. So there's no reason to actually kill him. He's not a threat. The other guys, however, they want to actually go back out in the greater wasteland and cause chaos and havoc. So we need to... Am I still irradiated? How am I still irradiated? I used frickin' Radaway. Okay, there we go. I used another Radaway, and now we're back down below where we need to be. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, meet our brain.
Well, look who fun.
So we're going to have another conversation with our really sarcastic and insulting brain, and just I'll get back to you at the end with any details that transpired. We're just going to skip most of the conversation, though. Right, so we just talked to our brain and convinced our brain to go ahead and come back home with us. And to kind of summarize what exactly is going on, we managed to convince our brain to come back. We had to talk him. He tried to blame it on glands. We sort of said, no, you're the source of those glands, yada yada yada. And then he pointed out that, yeah, those guys weren't actually going to put your brain back in. They weren't actually going to put me back in you. They were just going to use me to escape and go and cause chaos, which we already figured out. So we're going to get him back to the think tank, and then we're going to get him put back in me, and that will allow something else to happen. So that's the step next. Okay, and we're back here at the sink. And I think we can just get our brain put immediately back into our head. I'm not certain. We might have to do one last little thing before I can finish off this DLC. Before I can go ahead and finish this off, I'm actually gonna do go ahead and get the autodoc personality, because that will allow me to get my brain back in my head. Because I have decided to put my brain back in. Uh-oh. There's one. Shit. There's two. Am I still on fire? Oh, he's above me. That's why I couldn't see him. Great, I'm on fire again. Thanks. Right. Ah, there's the autodoc. This is what I wanted. We can get the autodoc, and that'll allow us to do a few other things. Oh, we only needed to do that if we wanted the heart and the spine. At least I have it, so if I do decide I want to do other things, if I decide I want to go after the other personality matrices, I can totally make that work. So, with the autodoc collected, and with Dr. Mobius having been confronted and me having retrieved my brain, there's only one last thing to do. Let's go and talk to the bastards who tried to trick us. You may have noticed the pacification field is down. Guess what happens now? And really, there's only one appropriate way to end this. Come here, Dala! Oh, you're Boris. You're... and Dr. 8. That's the two I had to kill. And there we go. This is a job well done. We have left the psychotic scientists in a heap of scrap along the floor. And it's still telling me all the different bits of stuff that has been crippled. Awesome. But since we've now managed to kill them, let's go ahead and make our way out of this DLC. Wow, those guys totally called me out on that. The courier had barely explored it at all. And we've leveled up. So I'll kind of summarize this after we finish deciding what I want to give myself. And actually, this is only skill, so this is going to be surprisingly easy. Yep. Well, actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to dump a bunch of this into unarmed. Like a crap ton, because I may still want to use melee weapons yet. And, so just in case I do, I'm going to get the unarmed up quite a lot as well. Because there's certain perks, actually, we can get later on that require, like, really high unarmed and really high melee weapons. I can get a couple right now, but I want to be able to get even more. Now, as for the benefits we get for completing that DLC, first of all, I mentioned it in there. They're like, yes, the courier had only barely touched the surface because he was rushing to get done. Yep, they called me out on that. That's exactly what I was doing. I was trying to get done with this shit so we could move on to other DLCs. And as a result, I went through it really quick. We found one of the matrices, and we can actually go and put it in, and it's the autodoc. So yes, there's actually quite a lot more to explore that I'm not going to show off in this DLC. I really can recommend it, because while, again, the story is kind of tedious and boring, there are good bits to it. And, again, I like the twist at the end with Mobius just being, like, a weird, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Just, like, just a weird scientist who's kind of, like, slowly losing his mind and just doing whatever he can to keep these psychos back at the think tank from doing stuff. They also try to make me feel bad about killing them in the end, in the little post-game or post-DLC little wrap-up. But I don't. They were dangerous maniacs and needed to be put down. In the same way you put down, like, a rabies-ridden dog. Now, as for the aftermath of how we're going to do this, you may have noticed I did in fact go for my brain. You can tell your brain to stay with Mobius after the game, and he'll just stay there. And, well, he'll come back here just to let you take down the pacification field, and then you can kill them. But after you're done, he'll just stay here in the think tank. He won't come back with you, and you'll keep the brainless perk. The reason I decided to go with big brain over brainless is because brainless gives you, at a base, it gives you plus 5% to your damage threshold, just whatever your current damage threshold is, you get 5% bonus. And you also get 25% resistance to chem addiction. Big brain, on the other hand, takes down the amount of chem addiction from 25% to only 10%. So I only have a 10% resistance to chem addiction, more so than I would have already. However, it goes from a 5% damage threshold boost to a 10%. So while I'm not quite as resistant to chem addiction as I was before, I'm a bit tankier. I have like another point or two in damage threshold that I didn't have before. And the chem addiction isn't that big of a thing. I don't use chems that much anyway, so... And even if I do get addicted, I'm fairly near the end of the game. It won't be that big of a deal. As for the other two perks, Spineless gives you a +1 to your damage threshold just at a base, and a +1 to strength. Also, the nice thing about Spineless, the really, really nice thing about Spineless, your torso can no longer be crippled, and that's been really useful so far. But, if I put my spine back in, yes, I will get a +1 to strength, yes, I'll get an additional +1 to damage threshold, but here's the rub. If I do that, it means my torso can be crippled again. I don't even get a resistance to my torso being crippled. It can be crippled again just as standard. So having my torso being able to be crippled isn't really that good of a thing. Not so much, because the bonus point of strength I don't even need. Because my strength was like a 9 without power armor, and a 10 with power armor. So the +1 to strength means I'll just have a 10 always and forever, and the power armor won't do anything bonus to that. So having another point of strength is completely freaking useless, and the +1 to damage threshold in exchange for my torso being crippled isn't overly useful. I mean, I'd like to have a +1 damage threshold, but it's just not worth it for what I'm giving up. As for the Heartless perk, that is by far the last perk you want to give up for what you get in return. Because the perk you get instead of this is Cardiac Arrest, wherein basically you get your heart put back in, and it alters, you still keep some of the benefits, but it alters them. And the idea is that without your heart, without your heart, you are immune to poison. Completely immune, can never be poisoned again, which really means I should have done this before, Honest Hearts, but never mind. It also means that it's 50% harder for robots to land a critical hit on. I think it's 50%. 50% harder to land a critical hit on you for robots, of which we may still be facing a few in the future. So that could be really, really useful. You also get a bonus, or you're supposed to get a bonus to healing items. Healing items are 25% more effective without your heart in there. Now, here's what happens if you put your heart back in. The healing items are 50% more effective, so you'll get 50% bonus healing, which could be kind of useful in a hardcore run. But the downside is you're no longer immune to poison. You only have a 50% resistance to it. And robots have a 25% chance to not critically hit you rather than a 50% chance. So those things get halved. And even that would have, positives and negatives if it weren't for the fact that the bonus to healing isn't actually in the game. They found a bug in that. It's bugged. The bonus to healing you're supposed to get isn't listed in the game, so you won't actually get any bonus to healing at all, no matter whether you have Heartless or the Cardiac Arrest perk. Meaning, all the Cardiac Arrest perk would do, outside of the healing that it doesn't get, is make your bonuses worse. So there's literally no reason to ever put your heart back in you. It does no benefit and actually takes away some benefit. So to explain my decision, that is what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave my heart and my spine there, and I'm going to use my awesome new cybernetic implants. I'm taking my brain with me because, like I said, the slightly extra damage threshold in exchange for losing some chem resistance is really useful. My head still cannot be crippled ever. Head and torso can never be crippled again. So as long as I have that, I'll be good to go. And now I can actually go all the way back to the Wasteland, because we got a new awesome item here, which is the Transportal Ponder. This allows us to transport back and forth, because we can come back here anytime now. But I just don't. I had to get this part out, and I couldn't be bothered, really. I do really recommend, if you're playing this yourself, go and explore the entirety of this, because there's some good stuff here. Uh-oh. good news, the game just crashed. And after a slight crash and a fuck-up, we've managed to make it successfully back to the Mojave Wasteland. And as always, it's kind of nice to be home. I miss this area when it's not here, generally because the things in this area aren't anywhere near as bad as they are in Big Mountain. And as we walk slowly back up into the lights of the Lucky 38, I think it's good enough to call it a part here. Because we've now completed 2 of the 4 DLCs available. And the 2 that are remaining are the ones I've been kind of dreading, because they're both really, really difficult, especially on hardcore. So I'm gonna take some time, have a little bit of a think, as I try to figure out what the best way is going to be to tackle them, and I will come back. But for the meantime, my character I think is deserving a well-earned rest. She's going to go in and she's going to have a nice nap in the Lucky 38 and steel herself for what lies ahead. Yeah, but we've managed to do quite a bit so far. Got a bit more to do yet, and that'll all be next time. In the meantime, thanks as always for watching, guys. I was Ben, and this was Fallout New Vegas Hardcore Permadeath. See you next time, everyone.